And we're live.
Oh
No, I
shit.
haven't tried that shit. What is that? Let me see. Pepsi
Pepsi
Zero. Is it good?
Mango, yeah. Pepsi Mango. It's all right.
Um, all right, guys. Well, great intro, but welcome to another episode of the Outlier podcast. I think it's number 8. I'm not too sure.
Nine,
Um,
nine.
number 9. Okay. With
Sure.
my co-host as usual, Roger or AWOL.
Welcome back.
And so we're gonna start this off with the Would You Rather, which was commented on number 7 by Esteban, one of my great coworkers. He said, "Would you rather get mushroom stamped or gooch sweat dripped on your face?"
Okay, before we answer the question, guys, we're rewarding the people that ask questions on the podcast by doing it first. So for those of you listening, make sure you send us some would you rathers. That way you can feature on the podcast. I'm gonna have to go with Gooch Sweat, bro. There's no way. It's nasty, right? But there's no way I'm gonna let someone just
But
mark their territory on me. Like, no.
yeah. So I think I would go. Oh man,
You're gonna walk around with a big old black bruise of just like
yeah. So for those of you that don't know, a mushroom stamp is basically when someone dick slaps you so hard that it leaves the imprint of what looks like a mushroom. So it's either that or get someone's gooch sweat dripped on you. But it doesn't specify if it's a male or female. So if that's the case, obviously gooch sweat.
females. Females have gooch.
Isn't a gooch between your penis and your asshole? Isn't that the gooch?
Yeah, but I thought it was because you know how women. Okay, so for men, there's like a gap, right? For women, it's slit all the way through, like from the
Yeah.
crack to the.
Wait, what do you mean?
Yeah.
What do you mean? What do you mean? It's slit? You mean nah, dude? The pussy and the asshole don't connect.
No, they don't can. They
That's what
don't connect. They
That's what I'm
don't
saying.
connect. They don't connect. But there's like there's lips all the way from the front all the way to the back, right?
Yeah.
Bro,
No, bro. I
I'm
don't
going,
know, bro. I don't know about that.
I don't know. I'm going blank right now. No, I might be wrong.
No, I think you're
But
wrong.
those,
I think there's a gap. Like I don't think it's as drastic as males, right? But
yeah.
I think there's a little like space, which that would be considered the gooch.
Okay. Well, either way,
But
I would go with the gooch even if it was a guy. So
yeah.
yeah, I'm not getting mushrooms
Oh no. Oh
stamped, bro.
yeah. Sorry, I'll go with the gooch too because he didn't specify. So I'm gonna just assume it's a girl, right? Because
Yeah,
at
yeah,
least that one's not gay, right? It's the
yeah.
lesser of two evils. Um, but yeah, so that was would you rather again. If you guys want to be mentioned in it in our next podcast, go ahead and comment a would you rather, and we'll feature it on the next one.
Yes, sir.
So the first topic for today is: should men have a say on abortion? What do you
What do
think?
you think? What do you think about it?
Um, I think I think ultimately it is up to the woman because it is her body at the end of the day. But it's also not just her child because it takes two people to make a kid. I think the male should have some type of input or should at least be heard and made felt a part of the decision, even if it ultimately comes down to what she decides. I still think he should have a his input taken into consideration at the very least.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
So I think about it in two different scenarios. I think about it in the society level, and then I think about it in the individual level. Here's like the reality of it all, though. At the end of the day, ultimately, like you said, females are gonna have the last say because it's their body, right? It's like it doesn't matter what the guy says. At the end of the day, the female's going to make the decision. But I do feel like men should have a say. Regardless, I think that men should speak up regardless if the woman is going to be take their words into consideration or not.
Mhm.
So do I think they should have a say? Of course. Do I think at the end of the day that's going to like alter the woman's decision? It depends on the situation. Right now, we can also have the conversation of, and this is why I'm talking about the society level of, do we make it against the law for women to have abortion if the male does not agree?
Yeah.
And then it's gonna get spicy because it's like now the man has to have the word in order for it to actually happen. If not, the woman suffers jail time or fine or whatnot. Me coming from like a Christian background, I would love that. I don't think that would happen, especially in every state. But at the end of the day, too, this is the type of consequences that you suffer for having pre-marriage unprotected sex. So you kind of have you kind of you kind of have to reap those consequences anyways. So if you're a guy and you get a girl pregnant and then you want to have a say, well, guess what, bro? That's a consequence. Like,
Yeah, that's part
that,
of what you got to pay for.
yeah.
But with that being said, how do you feel on abortion in general? Do you think that's something that should be against the law, or do you think it's something that needs some limits to it? What do you think?
Yeah, I think I mean, I don't believe in a utopia world. So like for the world to function as how I feel, like for instance, if it was up to me, I would say yes. Like
Yes, yes. What?
abortions are not to be done. It's against the law.
Hmm.
But I understand, like, I mean, I'm not all knowing. You know what I mean? Like I'm not someone who should dictate the world, right? So um I think personally what it comes down to is the individual's responsibility to make the decision, and they're going to have to deal with that burden because the reality is that a lot of females and some males, but more females that go along with the abortion, they end up either regretting it or they suffer some type of depression and something afterwards. So
Yeah,
if they so at I don't think it'll ever become a law, and I'm okay with that because if people do end up having abortions, they're gonna have to deal with that consequence. You know what I
yeah.
mean? Do I support it? No. So yeah,
It's something. It's a topic that I don't put much thought into, just because I know it's a very controversial topic, and I just feel like whatever I decide, it doesn't really matter because there's always going to be. It's always like it's such a controversial topic that I just rather not get into it. But thinking about it now, I think it would be. I think it's better that it's allowed, because I feel like there's lots of people out there that just aren't ready to have a kid. And I could 100% um what's the word, relate to that, but not saying that I would get one. I'm just saying that's relatable. And then imagine someone that's like a crackhead, or just a very unstable person in general that can't take care of themselves and is pregnant and is like, "Oh, shit, like I can't have a kid." I think it's better for them to have an option to get an abortion than to be like, "Fuck, I'm a fall down some stairs," or there back in the day, I don't know if you knew this, they used to get coat hangers.
yeah.
Women used to get coat
Shove them
hangers,
down there.
yeah, and shove them down there and like pretty much just like uh
Oh,
beat it like a fucking egg, right? Until it just wasn't gonna continue growing. So I feel
yeah.
like regardless whether it's illegal or not, people are going to find a way to make it happen, especially if they really don't want a kid. They're gonna do it in more horrific ways. Now, I do believe, however, that the laws are, I don't know what they are exactly over there in Texas, but I think in Cali, I think it's like 3 weeks or something. I could be wrong. Don't quote me on any of this. But
I'm
you
not
have
sure
you
about
have up to 3 weeks to get an abortion. After
that's not
that,
even
yeah,
that's not
yeah.
even a long time.
Yeah, so I think it's in Cali. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that. But after the 3 week mark, it becomes illegal. So what a lot of people do is they, after the 3 week mark, since it's illegal, you have to fly somewhere. Like there's another state that allows you to get super late abortions. Now on
Wow.
the other side of that coin, I think it's like, man, it's like a state like Montana or something like that, where they allow you to get an abortion up to 6 months into your pregnancy. 6 months.
Crazy.
So
That's an infant.
yeah, so if you're 6 months pregnant, you could walk in
Yeah.
there and be like, "Ah, man, dog, I don't want to do this shit," and they'll be like, "All right, like sign this paper, let's get to work," and they'll
And bro,
fucking, yeah, 6 months. That it's such
I
a thing that, like, at that point it's too fucking late. You couldn't decide sooner. Like, I think the cutoff should be, I don't know, maybe 3 months, 2 months. I don't know, 2 months, 3 months.
I've heard of doctors actually declining to do
Yeah,
that. Yeah,
yeah.
especially if it's a late one. Yeah, like I can kind of empathize with what you're saying. The only problem I have with that, because you bring up like a good point. Like, what if it's a crack kid that's pregnant, parents that are incapable of raising a child? But the vast majority, that's not the case. And so the problem I have with like abortion is that it alleviates individual responsibility. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like you're alleviating the consequence of what you did. Like, you messed up, you have to deal with the consequence. That's usually how life works and anything that you do. But now we're
Damn
like,
it.
I'm pregnant, then we just kill a baby. You know what I
I
mean?
go back a little bit. Oh no, lagging a little bit, guys. Sorry about that.
Stuff like that.
We fuck. Not coming back, huh?
How's it now?
You're lagging on your end. It should be fine now, I think.
Right.
Uh,
We good?
yeah, it looks good. What were you saying?
Okay. Yeah. So basically, I don't like in any situation, even if it's not just abortion, like an scapegoat of consequence. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, if you mess up, I think that people should deal with the repercussions. Generally speaking, I understand there's some like situations like you said with the whole crackhead thing, but I think by generally alleviating consequence, it's a bad thing because people are now able to act. There's a cool quote that I love that says, "You play stupid games, you win stupid prizes."
yeah, yeah,
You know what I mean? And that's just life, bro. Like, if you make stupid decisions, you're gonna have to deal with stupid consequences, and people are trying to look for ways out of that. And I don't think that's a good idea, generally speaking.
yeah. I mean, I'm sure there's people out there with multiple abortions. That becomes an issue. It's like, if you have multiple abortions, you're probably someone that just takes it for granted and it's just like, it's fine. I could just get an abortion. It doesn't matter. And so at that point, you have to have regulations in place where, like, you have to give the people some type of responsibility for what they're doing. You can't just let people have abortions whenever they want, up to 6 months into their pregnancy. I think that's ridiculous. At that point, I think you made your choice. If you waited that long, you have to have the kid, in my opinion. Um, but yeah, I do believe that men should have a say in it, though, for sure, because it's your child as well, and it not only affects the woman, it affects the man too if you decide to have an abortion.
I
Um,
agree. I agree because women can't get pregnant on their own. So it's like, you know what I mean? It takes two. There's one thing that I want to talk about before we can you hear me?
yeah.
That before we pass on the topic. There's this whole like notion, I know women love to bring it up. It's like, oh well, what happens to the women that get raped?
Uh huh.
Like, that's a big argument for women. I think the percent of cases of abortions that
Are from
are
rapes?
rape is very minimal. I think it's like 3% or something like that. I forgot. Ben Shapiro talks about it. And so the comeback was, so if we said for the women that were raped, if we allow them to get abortions, can we make the rest of the abortions illegal? And the women say no, like all abortions
Yeah,
should be, legal. And he's like, so then don't use that argument then. Like you're making this argument seem to be like if it's
yeah,
majority, it's
yeah.
not. Like using a minimal case to make a big statement, and you can't do that. I agree with that.
Yeah, but even then, who's to stop you from saying you were raped if you wanted an abortion? You know, and who's gonna? How could you prove that? So
That's a very,
even
very
if
good
that
point.
was a limit, what's to stop you from saying "fuck"? I need an abortion. I was raped. You know, because
Yeah, this is gonna be
there's a lot of women out there that are quick to say they were raped and were or have been abused. For instance, I'm watching I don't know if you knew this. The Johnny Depp trial is going on where he is suing his ex-wife Amber something for defamation. So basically, I don't know if you remember this. There was a story that came out that he had supposedly hit her, and she had like a black eye and all this stuff, and it was huge at the time. Like he got really bad publicity for it. Like he just was all over the news as this guy that beats his wife and
yeah.
so on and so forth. And she had recorded like a bunch of stuff of him screaming and this and that. So basically, he is now suing her for defamation because she made all this shit up.
For
And
him.
yeah, and so when you listen to his story, it comes off completely genuine. Like he sounds like someone that's the victim, and it sounds like this girl made all this shit up. Like it really does. And it's crazy to think that this girl was just so quick to throw him under the bus because she was upset or whatever and ruin his life and his what not record, his reputation, you know. And it just goes to show that the word of a woman over a man's has so much power because women have that instant belief from the public. You know, like if a woman comes out and says like, "Oh, he hit me," that's automatically like, "Oh, I believe her." You know, for most of the people, which it's crazy. I think everyone should be treated innocent to proven guilty. You know.
Yeah, I hope that it goes to that. But right now we're in like this stage of there's a notion. And the notion is that men have been oppressing women for years. They have dictated over them, and they've always manipulated and abused women. That's the notion, right? That's what people believe, especially the super feminist women. So the notion is that men can be abusive, but women aren't as capable of being abusive. Here's the thing: they're equally as capable of being abusive. They just have two different arsenals. Men obviously are physically built stronger, right? So like they can women and even men, right? Men are obviously there's more men fighters than there are women fighters. We're just more aggressive. But
Fuck, man. Come on.
women are how to tear a man down with their lips. Like women are
Oh yes,
powerful. Women are
yes.
powerful with their words. Oh, Smith and Will Smithing. Like she controls them, bro. She has them by the nuts. And it's not because she's stronger than them, but because she knows how to manipulate with her words. And
Yeah.
that's that women have that strength. But it's overlooked. Women can't psychologically abuse men. That's what people
Now,
think, but
yeah,
it's not
so
true.
so why I think that's overlooked is because it's something that you can't see because it's something that's behind the scenes. It's something
Yeah.
that the woman will do to the man while when they're alone. She'll play mind games with them and have this
Yep.
power over him with her words, which is something that a lot of women do but don't necessarily get flack for it because you don't see it. You don't it's not apparent until it comes to the spotlight and you see it for yourself, like with Jada and Will Smith, or with like
Yeah.
Amber and Johnny Depp. It becomes very much apparent once the dirty laundry is aired.
Yep.
But until then, you're not gonna notice it. You're just gonna think, um, wow, this guy's a pussy or whatever. Like you're not gonna have an opinion on it until that dirty laundry is aired. And that's something that a lot of people don't realize, that a lot of women manipulate and mistreat men. It's just
Yep.
most of the time it's not physical; it's more mental.
And it happens usually in the terminology that you're saying, like the guy that's a pussy. The terminology in the relationship dynamic is called blue pill. These are your like overly nice guys, the pushovers, the ones that the females manipulate more. But this is what, because this is what we see in the movies, right? We see in books and movies how in order to get that girl, you need to be this loving, supporting man, right? Like you need to cater to the woman, give her everything she wants. No, that's what the girl wants. And once she gets it, and when she learns that she can manipulate you, she's gonna do it. The human nature is that we will manipulate what we can, and yeah, women are really good at that.
Yeah, for
But
sure.
dude, look, for anybody listening, if you plan to get married or you plan to be in a serious relationship, you need to take control of the relationship. I'm not saying that because I'm sexist. Believe me, the woman in the long run will appreciate it. My wife does. And it's not going to work out. She will manipulate you, and your endeavors in the long run are going to harm not only you, but also your family. So just letting you know.
Yeah, I mean that for sure comes off sexist to me, but
That's fine.
I don't know. I mean, I think what you and your wife have is very special. I don't see many relationships like what you guys have. Because you guys are in agreement that you guys are like legit partners, and like we both want this. We know what we want, and if we're just stronger if we're both on the same page, and that's like such an amazing thing. Like a lot of people don't realize that. A lot of people like to be their own person, which is fine, but they're too independent of each other, and it becomes a very, I guess, toxic type of thing, because they're
Yeah.
constantly bumping heads.
Yeah, well, it also has to do with our common moral compass that we both believe in Christianity. We both believe in God, because during marriage counseling, you actually learn that you need to have the same vision, like you need to have same direction. If not, I'm not gonna get into it. It's pretty long, but if you do not have the same direction, if you don't communicate and agree on a path, then it's not gonna really work out. And my wife, both and I agree that I'm the head of the household. Like when it comes down to it, I'm gonna make the tougher decisions. I'm going to lead the household, and that needs to happen. I know that sounds sexist again, but it needs to. Women act based off of emotion, and that's not a rational way to handle this.
There was well, I think it was when Hillary was running for president. Someone had said something like, "Imagine if we're on the brink of a war and she's on her period, and like she's just gonna be like, nah, fire the fucking missiles. I'm done with this shit." And I think it was a joke, and I was like, man, like, yeah, like if you've ever dealt with someone like a woman when they're on their period, you know that the emotions are like fireworks. They're just flowing out, man. It's crazy. So women are definitely more emotional than men, um,
Definitely.
and more unpredictable. I think, especially when they're on their periods.
Yeah, they're more unpredictable because they're also there's a characteristic in us that's called agreeableness. So women, generally speaking, and across the board, are more agreeable than men. Men are non-agreeable. They're not. If a guy knows what he wants, he won't negotiate. That's what he wants. For a woman, they're easily pushovered. Like like for instance, like uh, I don't even know a scenario, but typically, if something happens at a job site, a woman would just lay back and sit back and take it. Let's say a boss says, "Oh, nobody's gonna get their Christmas bonus this year because business wasn't right." If you tell a guy that, generally speaking, men are gonna get upset and they're gonna speak up and they're gonna, hey, that's not my fault. You know what I mean? I did my work, whatever it is.
Yeah,
But generally speaking, women are more agreeable, and that has to do with that as well.
yeah, for sure. I mean, speaking about women and partners and all that, The next topic is: should your female partner have male friends?
Oh no. 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 I spoke about this on my podcast. It it really depends. It really does depend. But generally I would say no. Um
Really?
yeah, yeah. Because again, it depends if they're like long distance friends that they talk maybe like once a month. A family friend, that's cool. You talk to them like at a family gathering. But if your girlfriend is talking to a guy almost every day, 3 times a week, 4 times a week, that's not a good thing, bro. Because you're a guy, I'm a guy, and we all know how men function. Men's driver is to procreate, which for those who listen that don't know is to have sex. So if they see a crack in the armor, they're going to do it. And so I'll give you a quick scenario. You and your girlfriend get in an argument, and she's fed up with you, and y'all have like a 3 day span where y'all don't talk. Who's she gonna go to? She's obviously gonna go to her guy friend. Her guy friend's gonna comfort her. And what happens is she's in a vulnerable state. And I'm not saying I'm not what you probably think is like, oh, she's gonna cheat on you. That's not always the case. But the fact that she's opening up to this person, she's getting closer to this person emotionally. And women, again, are emotional beings. And so when they connect to these people emotionally, they might create a bond that you don't even have with her. And so that's not a good thing either. But no,
Yeah.
it's not good.
Mm, man, honestly, I believe you should be able to have male friends. Like meaning now, like you said, there has to be a limit of how far that could go in terms of emotionally and how much you trust that person. So, for instance, by friends, I think of more like of a coworker type of thing or a very casual type of thing. I think that's okay, right?
Yeah.
But when it steps over that point, I think something's, like you said, you're gonna get in a fight and you're gonna be vulnerable and you're gonna go to that person. You can't be doing that shit. You have to know your limits. You have to be like, hey, this is I'm only cool with you because I work with you,
Hey,
so
but the number one place for affairs is the workplace, just so you know.
is it really?
Yep.
Oh yeah, that makes sense because you would spend most of your time at work, right? Yeah, that
Yeah.
makes sense. But
It's your second home.
yeah, but again, I feel like you have to know where to set boundaries, especially so people don't get the wrong idea. Because I mean, it would be very easy for you to be friendly with someone and they get the wrong idea, and that could lead to them trying something, or you know what I mean. Especially when you're vulnerable, you don't want that. So I feel like I think it's fine as long as you set boundaries. Really, like as long as you know what you're getting yourself into and you set your boundaries. I don't see a problem with it, especially if you trust your partner. If you trust your partner and they trust you, I don't see the issue with it.
Women like attention, bro. I mean, men do too. Like if a female were to give you a compliment, I mean, let's not lie, we're men. Like we like it and we appreciate it. We're just not as emotionally as attached as females are. So I think women appreciate more of like compliments and getting flirted on than men do. That's why I think it's a little bit more dangerous when it happens to females. I'm gonna give you an example, bro.
Wait,
You
wait.
know
You
me.
you think it's more dangerous when females get complimented?
Yeah, yeah. Because women.
Ah, that I agree with you on that. That women love compliments, so do men. Like it's human. You like feeling good about yourself. But I do believe that men, each compliment means more to a man than it does to a woman because men are so starved uh from attention, because women get all the attention when it comes down to it, and men don't really get compliments on a day-to-day basis. Like girls will compliment each other all fucking day, but men rarely do that to each other because we're so we have such big egos and we don't
Wait,
really,
so you're talking about same-sex
or
compliments?
just compliments in general, like
Because men desire, I think that men desire more of same sex compliments than they do of female compliments, because they know that like a man knows hierarchy values more than women do. So it's like if a guy tells you, "Damn, bro, you're jacked,"
Yeah.
that means me to me that means way more than what a female would tell me. Like, "Oh, like you're strong, you
Yeah.
look strong." Like
Yeah.
but that's across the board. Even at a workplace, if a guy tells you like, "Hey, bro, like, you're a freaking hard worker," like
Mhm.
for me that means more. But for the opposite sex, like if a girl tells me that I'm cute or anything like that, I don't know. I think women would appreciate like more of the flirting type compliments than men would. That's what I think. I mean, that's what I've actually been. I told you earlier that I've been on the algorithm of relationship dynamics, and that's what I've been hearing.
Yeah, I mean, man, I think men just don't get complimented enough. So I feel like it's much
Speak
more.
for yourself.
No, I mean, I've believed this for a while, and I've heard it been talked about on podcasts before too. Is that men do not get the same level of like attention that women do in terms of compliments in general, whether it be looks or how good you're doing or whatever. It doesn't matter. Men don't get the pat on the back like women constantly do. So I feel like if you're not careful with that, you could end up in a very bad position. You know, especially if you are someone that has no self control. You know, so
Oh yeah, we talked about this. Did I talk about this on the last podcast,
no, I don't think
or
so.
was this off air?
I think this was off air when you talked
I,
about
I'll
this.
I'll talk about it in a bit, but going. Oh, dude, where was I at? I might just have to talk about that because I think I lost my train of thought. Shoot. Yeah, I'll just talk about that. It's very important to know, like, this is going down to like the individual boundaries now, though. I told you that you need to be aware of how you stand in the whole realm of receiving compliments and knowing your boundaries. And I was telling Saul, just being extremely honest, because I'm an honest person. And even my wife, I talked to my wife about this too. So you probably don't believe that, but I did. Um, that I try to ignore any compliments, especially if they're to like my people, like a flirting compliment. You know, if a girl says I'm good looking or anything like that, and it's not so much for me to entertain them, it's more so much because I know my boundaries. I know, I know in the past I've struggled with women. I've known in the past that I've had that's a deep temptation of mine. And
Mm-hmm.
so I won't feed my ego, my pride so much. I try to ignore those things. That way I won't be tempted. And so
Yeah.
you need to, yeah, you need to know your boundaries
Yeah,
for sure.
so that's good that you know that because I am the complete opposite. I think I have not that you're not disciplined. That's not because obviously you're disciplined in a different way. But for me, I don't like I know myself and I know that I won't give into any type of anything, you know? Like no temptation, it doesn't matter. I don't give a fuck. You know me, bro. You know the one thing I value most is loyalty.
Loyalty, yeah.
If you're not loyal, dude, like just get the fuck out of here. I don't care if you're my girlfriend, my mom, my dad, my brother, my best friend. It doesn't matter. If you're not loyal to me, I don't have a need for you. Just get out of here. Loyalty is my number one thing. I don't know what it is about me, but that's something that's always been in like my top in terms of what I need in a person is
Yeah.
loyalty. That's all I care about. If you turn your back on me or if you betray me in some type of way, it's very hard for me to look at you the same way ever again. Like there's cuz I feel like it's not hard to be loyal to a person, you know?
Yeah.
So if you can't do that, then I just feel like you're just a lazy ass person. You know, you
Yeah.
you can't do something simple like be loyal. Like I don't know.
Loyalty looks different, I think, for everybody. So like in my sense, me, so I know to be loyal, I need to,
Mhm.
set different barricades for myself in order to like, to have that correct mindset in order to do so.
Mhm. Yeah,
But yeah.
well, that's smart. A lot of people wouldn't admit that. you know.
Yeah.
Um, thankfully, I don't have to like kind of set these boundaries for myself like you do, because I just have this mindset of like I know I'm unbreakable, you know. Um,
Good.
yeah, man. But I mean,
Hey,
I'm
going back to the workplace thing. You were talking about how you think it's like okay for like your girlfriend, so to speak, right? Figuratively speaking, to have
yeah.
like friends at work, bro. I mean, you know me. I used to be a manager at a fast food restaurant, and there was a bunch of girls in relationships that
Oh
would,
fuck.
you know what I mean, bro? Like
Yeah.
I've had opportunities with, or I did, and these were people in full blown relationships, didn't have any problems with having relations with me or flirting with me, and then they were going right back into the relationships like if nothing happened. So like, just had to be careful, bro.
Fuck,
Because
man.
yeah,
Yeah,
you just
that
have to be careful.
that
Because
that's
women,
that's what scares me the most, bro, is hearing stories
yeah,
like that. Because I'm like, fuck, man, like it's hard to trust people already, but
yeah.
when you hear shit like that, you're like, fuck, man. Like fortunate for you, your wife works at home, right? So you don't have to wonder about shit like that.
Yeah.
You know?
But okay, but it also going back to the whole relationship dynamics. This is why you can't treat your female too good because then they crave women love to be contented and that's what women are confused beings, bro. They tell you I just want a man that will do anything for me. That's not what they want, bro. They love to be contented. This is why, bro, there's so many stories out there where women will do things for men sexually that they wouldn't do for their husbands. Have you ever heard stories like that? Where like they have like this crazy past of like they were willing to do anything for men and then they get married and they're very conservative in the bedroom. This is because women have this deep desire for the bad boy. Like
Yeah.
they love that it gets them aroused knowing that like they have this bad boy. But once they what they want is they want a good boy to marry, but they want a bad boy to bang. This
Mm.
is this is true. So like if
And
you're
that's like the usual movie type of thing, right?
yeah, well, the usual movie type of thing is to treat your woman like a queen. But the thing is when you treat your woman like a queen and you don't contend in real life, what they do is they find a bad boy.
No, yeah. So in movies, you would often see like a bad boy that's romantic and treats the women like he's a complete piece of shit to
Yeah.
everyone else, but to like that's what women want. You know, this bad boy that is
Yeah.
the outcast of society, but is like the opposite to her. That's what they want.
Exactly, bro. And so check it out. So if the biggest leverage anybody can have, any sex, it doesn't matter if you're male or female, the biggest leverage you have is your ability to walk away. If a girl knows that you're willing to walk away from the relationship, she will be clinged onto you. But if she knows that you'll do anything for her, like there's guys out there that will like their girlfriends would cheat on them and they'll take them back. If you do that, the girl has lost all respect for you and she's gonna keep desiring this bad boy. But if but see that happens in small scales. Like that happens if girls are if girls know that you're a good guy and like you have them on a pedestal, they'll manipulate you and they'll take advantage of you eventually till they get to that point. But this is why you have to have that leverage. Okay, here's a better way that I can put it. There's no such thing as unconditional love. Unconditional love does not exist. Every love has conditions, and you have to make this a point. I have conditions in order for me to love my wife. Here are the conditions: no infidelity. She can't cheat on me. If she cheats on me, I'm out. And she knows this. If she doesn't know that boundary, if I put her on this pedestal and I tell her, I'm going to be with you till death do us part, because I married you and we have kids together, blah, 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 whatever it is. Well, guess what? Now she doesn't have any incentives to stay with me. She can do whatever she wants, right? Okay, here are no. I'm gonna say no. That's not the case. Here are some conditions. You can't cheat on me. You have to respect me. Well, that goes both ways, right? We have to respect each other. I'm the man of the household. Things along those lines. Like you have to set boundaries. You have to set conditions to love. That's what I believe.
Yeah. I mean that makes sense, you know? I agree with you. You got to set your boundaries, especially if you don't make it known that if you just tell someone like, "Oh, I'll be with you no matter what," like that's not healthy, and that's probably gonna end up in a bad situation for you because they're gonna test that, you know, and you don't obviously you don't ever want to be put in that position. So you gotta set boundaries straight.
And this is why you should never be a simp.
Yeah,
Never, never. I'm telling you guys, like I know I'm not joking, like I know I'm laughing, but do not be a simp. And this is something that in the past that I've simped over my significant others in the past in the beginning phase only. The
yeah,
beginning phase, and then once I kind of got it locked in, then I'm like, okay, like, but that's wrong. That was wrong in my past because I'm putting up like there's smoky mirrors. Like I'm not putting up who I truly am in the beginning. So then when I actually show like, oh no, I have boundaries, this and that, the girl's like, what? Like you didn't show me all this stuff. So that was one of the mistakes that I made in the beginning of my relationships in the past. But
yeah.
yeah.
All right. Well, we've been going for 40 minutes, so I'm gonna call it.
Damn.
Yeah, I'm gonna call it a episode here, guys. Again, make sure you guys comment the would you rather's. Make sure you guys drop a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and again, thank you guys for all the support. I really do appreciate it. I know Roger does as well.
I love it, bro.
Yeah, and so we'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you guys very much. Bye.
Peace.